Hi guys, it's Teri the Realtor and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing a few things that you should ignore when you're out house hunting, and I'll also touch on a few things that you should be mindful of and try to pay attention to when you're walking through homes. So if you're interested in this topic, please keep watching. So I'm pretty sure everybody has seen an episode or two of House Hunters. I love House Hunters. I've been watching House Hunters for years when the girl named Susan was narrating the show, and way before they showed you any updates or how much a house even cost or what city they were in. I've been watching House Hunters for years. One thing that's always been common on House Hunters is the complaints. People complain about everything that they see in the house, and sometimes I feel like it's a little bit dramatic and it's just for the show. But it actually happens in real life as well. And so that was one of my motivations for making this video. I wanted you guys to know that it's okay to see something when you're house hunting that you don't like, but know that some of those things can be easy fixes. And a lot of the things that people are so picky about are cosmetic things that can be fixed easily with a little bit of elbow grease and maybe a few dollars, and it looks good as new and actually probably looks better than it already did. So the first thing that you should try to ignore when you're walking through a house is the paint. For some reason, people get caught up in crazy wild colors that they see on walls. But guess what? There's Lowe's, there's Home Depot, even Walmart sells paint. You can go to any of those stores, pick up a bucket of paint for $20, $30, depending on how nice you want the paint to be, and you can cover up the wild colors that you see. It's an easy fix. It updates the space. Sometimes it makes rooms look even bigger. They're easy fixes that you can do. You don't have to hire anybody to paint. Now, if you paint like my daughter, then it might be an issue, but just do your best, paint the walls, and keep it moving. Same thing goes for wallpaper. Now, it does take a lot more effort to remove wallpaper, but once again, it's an easy fix. It does take some elbow grease, and it will update the space, maybe even make it look bigger and better. So try not to focus so much on the ugly colors that you see that the last owner had. That doesn't matter. It's going to be your house once you buy it, so worry about what you're going to do when you own the home. Now, there's some things that you should pay attention to as it relates to the walls is if you see any water spots or cracks. Water spots can mean that there's some plumbing issues in the house. It might be the roof is leaking. And if you see any cracks, that might be foundation issues. Those things doesn't necessarily always have to be the case if you see a water spot or a crack, but that's something that your home inspector can look into when they're doing their walkthrough. And there's something that you can also ask the listing agent as well as the homeowner, you know, are you having problems? What's going on? Why are these spots? And usually those things will be disclosed within the buying process. So the next thing that you should ignore when you're out house hunting is the decor. Now, I have walked through some really interesting homes that were decorated in very interesting ways. Looks like the person went back into the 1800s and decorated their house. Whatever. Guess what? That's their stuff, and it's going to leave the house when they leave. If you like the stuff, then maybe you can negotiate on a price and keep the stuff in the house. But if you absolutely hate it, there's good news. It won't be there when you get your keys and walk into the house. Don't pay attention to the clutter and the oversized furniture. All of that doesn't matter. Sometimes, honestly, I prefer walking into empty homes because it gives you a blank slate. It gives you an opportunity to see the space within the house and what you can do as far as placing your furniture. One thing I will recommend though, if you are walking through a house that's still occupied by the owners, you should take a tape measure. You should take a tape measure no matter what, if the house is vacant or occupied, because you'll be able to see furniture placement and the space that you have. Another thing that you should try to ignore when you're out house hunting is odor and clutter. Now, I know that's easier said than done because yes, when you walk through a house and it smells weird, it smells like animals, you're going to be like, what the heck? How do these people live? But keep in mind, these are still easy fixes. Painting the walls, cleaning the carpet, putting in some Bath & Body Works candles will make the house smell and look brand new, and you won't have to worry about what the previous owners did. What you should be concerned with, however, is if you see or smell signs of mold. I know most people aren't mold experts, but if you see something that looks like mold, it might be, and that might be an issue. That's another thing a home inspector or a professional can take a look at before you go and decide to buy the home. But don't be so concerned with the cat smell and be more concerned with things that might cost you some serious dollars. I want everyone to be able to get into a great house, even if it does need fixing. But if it's too much for you to handle, if you don't have enough cash flow to be able to fix those problems, don't be afraid to walk away from a house. Always remember, these are investments. Don't put too much emotion into looking at the house. Now imagine you're riding down the street, you're really excited, you're going to look at another house, it's at a great price, great neighborhood, and then you walk up to a house that has overgrown grass, dying bushes, and the numbers are like half off the house. I know, it happens. It might be depressing. And I'm going to ask you to try to ignore those things. Yes, landscaping can get expensive, but if it's not too much, you might be able to fix those things yourself. So once again, I'm going to ask you to try to ignore those things. The numbers on the house, that's an easy fix. They sell those for super cheap. And honestly, you can pull up the bushes and plant some flowers and get some mulch. If you live in a place like Arizona, you can do the desert landscaping and have the rocks. It's really easy to fix a yard if you're willing to do it yourself. Now, if you're not an outdoors person like me, then yes, the curb appeal might kind of deter you from the house, but don't be afraid to still walk through and look at it because you might be pleasantly surprised what you find on the inside. So once again, just try to ignore the small things. Now, if you are walking through a house and you go to the backyard and there's like pipes exposed underneath the ground and it's just a mess, yes, walk away. Don't be afraid to walk away, because honestly, it might be some serious plumbing issues outside or whatnot that you can't fix easily, and that really could be thousands of dollars. And honestly, for a lot of people, they don't have that kind of money to put into the house in addition to buying the house. So unless it's serious work, I would say try to ignore it. All right, so here's the last thing that you guys should try to ignore. And I know this might sound crazy, but just hear me out. The list price. Yes, you should try to ignore the list price. Price is always negotiable. That's within reason though. You can't have a $150,000 budget and then go and see a $300,000 house. You're insane. But if you do have a $150,000 budget and your realtor takes you to see a house that's for $155,000 or $165,000, don't look at them crazy and say, hey, I thought you said this is outside of my, or I thought I only told you that my budget is for $150,000. The good thing about realtors, we're professionals. So we have a pretty good idea about what a house should be priced at. And just because it says $165,000 on that listing doesn't mean that the house is worth $165,000, and it doesn't mean that you can't get it for within your price range. So don't be afraid to look at houses that are a few $1,000s more than what your high-end budget is, because you might be surprised. The sellers could be very motivated. The house could have been sitting on the market for 150 days, and the sellers are ready and willing to take the price that someone's willing to pay for their house. So once again, don't be so caught up on the list price. You can ignore it, but to some degree. It's always within reason. So that's all I have for today. I hope you guys learned something and that you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. As always, I'll leave my social media links and contact information in the description box. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. See you in my next video. Bye.